debt, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, Look Your Credit Card Debt. Well, one of his advocacy, no other than Mr. Tommy Kilpatrick.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome to Abstract Essay, Mr. Tommy, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure, I'm a retired teacher, I'm an author, and I wrote a book on health and healing. And back in 2004, I was given an infomercial contract, and I was on the radio for about 6 months test marketing different ideas of how we're going to sell it. And I used my three credit cards to live on, and I racked up $85,000 of credit card debt. But I was expecting to be paid about 100,000 a month, so there's not a problem. But then the problem arose that one of the other talents got in trouble with the FTC, and he made claims in his book that wasn't true. So they came down hard, and the company had canceled all the new contracts. And so I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt. So talk about an abstract essay. There we are.
Mr. Tommy Kilpatrick, thank you so much for sharing your thought on Abstract Essay. What inspired you to focus on helping people look their credit card debt, and what does that term mean to you?
Ah, well, I first of all am a doubting Thomas, so I invite your audience to doubt what I'm saying. And I have some links in the show notes so you can verify what I'm saying to be true. And I want you to send this podcast to your CPA or anyone who's had one class of accounting, and they will tell you, maybe they never thought of it this way, but they're going to tell you that I'm actually 100% correct. So, that being said, that you are actually, I'm trying to reach out to your audience to let them know that they're a crime victim, that there has been a worldwide fraud perpetrated by the banks on this alleged credit cards. So that's what I'm trying to do is let you know that law is language and language is law. So if you say you have credit card debt, you've got debt and there's nothing you can do about it. But when we watch television, we see a bank robbery and they'll always say that they're alleged bank robbery. It's all I want your audience to do is start using the word allege. And now the bank has the responsibility to prove that there's a debt, and they can't prove a debt. So that's my main argument: is there's no invoice, there's no loan, and fraud undoes all contracts. So you do not have a contractual agreement with the bank.
How do you recommend someone begin assessing their credit card debt to create an effective repayment plan?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, again, if you say it's a debt, and you can work out a payment plan if you want to, but there are true credit cards. So I am not promoting a scheme to get out of debt. What this is to determine which credit card is a true one and which is not. So if you have, for example, a need for tires and you go into a tire store and you don't have the money, they might say, "Oh, sir, why don't you apply for an in-store credit card? And if you get approved, and you do, and they put tires in your car, you drive away. At the end of the month, you receive a statement, and that's fine, that's legal. And they have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. So that you owe. Now, how can you determine if a fake card is a true card? Is look on the back of Walmart or Amazon or any store card. If it says issued by Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Bank of Tokyo, Bank of London, Bank of India, it doesn't matter. If it's issued by a bank, then this is part of the fraud that I have discovered, and you do not owe it. It's not a debt.
Well, Mr. Tommy, what's the first step you advise for someone overwhelmed by high credit card balances?
Sure. And that's, again, the terminology. So when you start using the high balances, it's not. It's actually uh, uh, your it's a free checking account balance. That's what it is. And what has happened is that we have to agree that the bank did not do a service to you, like coming out doing a plumbing job, and they didn't sell you tires. So the bank does not have an invoice. They do not have a debt. Now the argument is that they actually loaned you money. So when you have no money and you want money, you go to a bank and they loan it to you. So if you apply for a loan and you're accepted, then you go and you fill out loan documents. You have to prove you have an income. There's collateral like your house or your car, or if you go for a personal loan, you might put your yacht up for collateral. And then they look at your credit report, and your credit score determines your interest rate. And the last thing you do is you sign a promissory note. All that is required for a loan by the federal banking regulations. So that's what is happening is you didn't sign a promissory note. So this is not a credit card like you would get from a merchant, nor is it a loan.
Mr. Tommy, how do the debt snowball debt avalanche methods differ? And which do you personally recommend for tracking or, yes, tackling credit card debt?
Mhm. Yeah, there's well, the question is how can you nuke your bank issued alleged credit card debt? So we say it's bank issued, so it's very clear. Now, what they do, banks, they advertise, they try to get you as a customer. So they will actually spend money to get you to be a customer. That's well known. They will also in the past would purchase toasters and wall clocks and have them in the bank. So if you opened up an account, they would hand you a toaster. A few years ago, there was an ad in the newspaper that said, come into our bank and deposit $25, and in 90 days, we will match it. So what did I do? I took my $25, put it into the bank, waited 91 days, went into the bank and withdrew my 25 and the bank's $25, which was in my account, and I closed the account. I walked out with $50. The question I have is, did I rip off the bank? Was that immoral what I did? Did I cheat the bank in any way? No. The bank said, you do this and we'll give you the money. So they gave me the money. There's a guy on YouTube, and that's one of the show links, and he promotes doing just what I said, and he has made $361. What I am saying to your audience is that the credit card that came in the mail was a gift card. Okay. The gift card was to get you to use it so that you become a customer of the bank. So, what did you do with your, let's say, $500 credit card? Gift card. You see, it says credit card on it. And if you use their terminology, you're going to lose the argument. But if you use a truthful word, then you will prevail. So, you received a gift card. And what'd you do with the gift card? You went to a store and you purchased something of $500. So, tell me, what would be something that you would purchase for $500? What would it be there, Daniel? What would you want to buy for $500?
For $500, well, probably electronics.
Okay, something electronics.
Yes,
Okay, make it be like a microphone or something. That's perfect.
yes,
So you
for
go to
my
the store and you buy
podcasting.
it, but yeah, for your podcasting. So you were given a gift card, and you went to the store and you bought your $500 microphone. Perfect. You walking out the door and they say, wait a second, Daniel, did you pay for that? And you have a receipt. But you didn't take $500 out of your account and give it to the store, right? So that was a gift card. At the end of the month, you're going to get a statement. And in that statement is going to be from the credit card issuer, right? Or
Yes,
actually the bank. So again, it's not a credit card. It looks like a credit card, sounds like a credit card, but it looks like a bill. It's not a bill, it's a statement. Think about this. You have a normal checking account, and every month you get a statement. It's not a bill. It shows what you started with, what your deposits were, what you use as checks. And at the end, you have an ending balance. Same thing with this bank issued alleged credit card statement. It's not a bill. But you have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed to think that this is a bill. So you write a check off. Now, here's the question. It's kind of a perplexing question, so it's going to go kind of slow. Did when you wrote a check to that bank that you never had a relationship in the past, is that the first time they ever received your money? And it's an obvious answer. You wrote a $500 check out to the bank, they received it, they deposited it. But that was not a loan. What you did is you loaned the bank $500. That's in the show notes. Technically, when you take money into a bank and leave it there, you're loaning the bank money. As you use your checking account, the loan amount goes down and down until you decide to put more in. So when you wrote a $500 check out, The bank got a loan, and every subsequent purchase has been with your own money. Now, the reason why they want you to be a customer is that they, on average, make $23.04 on the fees. Now, my mom, who had a credit card for 40 years, never paid a penny of interest rate, never paid an annual fee, never paid anything because she always paid everything on time. She's one of the 12% that never pay. Okay. But for the majority of people, 70%, they're paying some kind of fee. And that's where the fraud is. So the fraud is making $23 on a free checking account. So if the bank has a million members, million cardholders, they're bringing in $23 million a month. And that is where they are using some of their advertising budget to get you as a gift card to go and buy like that microphone to then think you have a bill. So you wrote a $500 check out, but what you did, you funded your free checking account. And so every purchase since then has been with your own money. So that's the scam that's going on.
Interesting, Mr. Tommy, and thank you for sharing that to the world. Can you share a success story of someone who used a specific strategy to eliminate their credit card debt quickly?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, my clients say the proper words that they wish to close their free checking account. And I recommend that they will withdraw their money first. So I think of a young lady who had this alleged credit card debt. She was drowning in it. There was no way out. And what I did is I wrote a letter to the bank explaining the crimes they committed and how it was never an invoice. If they have one, send it to us. The other one is they do not have a promissory note. There was no promise to pay. So there is no loan because that's what the banks are required by federal banking laws. And there was no contractual agreement because fraud undoes all contracts. So in about 45 days, we looked at her credit report and those alleged bank issued credit cards were off of her credit report. And that's all she wanted was just it off and she'll never get summoned to court. She'll never get a collection letter. She'll never get anybody calling her about a collection because it was not a debt. So once you show the criminal that you know what's going on, they back down.
Well, successful story indeed, Mr. Tommy. What role does paying more than the minimum payment play in nuking credit card debt, and how can someone find extra funds to do this?
Right. See, so again, the terminology. And you have this payment. You don't have a payment. You don't have a bill. So if you think you have a bill, then you got to pay it. You got to work it all out and figure it out yourself. But this is your checking account that you have funded from the very first time you sent money to the bank. So there is no minimum payment. There is nothing like that. If you are under difficulties, then all I'm suggesting you to do is to withdraw the money that's still in your free checking account, which some people would say max the card out. It's not maxing a card out, it's withdrawing your money from the bank and then sending a letter to the bank asking them to close that free checking account associated with that card. Now, that can be quite weak of a letter. What would be better is if you had your CPA write a letter saying to the bank, you don't have an invoice. Now, my client has no debt with you. And two, you have no loan because there was no promissory note ever signed. And then that's a little stronger. You could add one more letter from your attorney. And now I'm thinking, oh, $200 or $300 for an attorney. No, no. There's a thing called Legal Shield for $29. You can get an attorney for a month and you don't need to pay any more after that. And have the attorney write the bank a letter saying fraud undoes all contracts. So that's simple. Then what you're going to do to make it even more powerful is draft a civil lawsuit, which I have, and you can have that freely. And so you can send that to the bank and they know you know what's going on. And the best thing of all is an injunction. So the bank knows that if they sue you, you're going to file an injunction, which is very simple, is you're not trying to sue the bank. You're just saying to the judge, these people are harassing me. So we're asking them to bring to you, judge, the copy of an outstanding unpaid invoice, a certified copy of the um, promissory note, and affidavit of debt. Someone in the bank has to swear out that you owe money. If they don't do that, they're in contempt of court and everything all stops. So they cannot go forward. So once the bank sees this paperwork, they have no interest in taking a bite of you because now they're going to expose their crimes. So they're going to do click and it's off your credit report. And that's what I found in my experience. Even if they have two or $300,000 of even corporate bank issued alleged credit card debt. And for most people, I find the money. I'm able to find money left behind in accounts they didn't even know they have available to them. So that's how they can do it. Is if they want to pay the minimum and they're in that thinking and they have credit card debt, then go right ahead. But if you see the truth of the matter is that you have a checking account and you can withdraw the money anytime you want and close your account.
Mr. Tommy, what are the pros and cons of debt consolidation or consolidation loans for simplifying credit card debt repayment?
That's a very good question. Here's the thing. If you have what they would call unsecured credit card debt, which I would say is not a debt at all, and you're going to convert that into a loan with a true loan where you have to prove your income and you have collateral, like turn into a home loan or a car loan or a personal loan with something of a collateral backing it. That's the problem. So now you've converted something that's not a debt into a secured debt, and that's real trouble. So I would not recommend that at all. In the show notes, the fifth link is to Dave Ramsey, and he explains how these credit cards consolidation companies are scams. They will take your money and not pay the bank. You think everything's all taken care of, and then all of a sudden later you get sued and you don't know what's going on because you've been taken. So the best thing to do for this bank issued alleged credit card debt is to write a letter to the bank to close the account and to move on because it'll be taken off your credit report and you'll never have to worry about that again.
How do you advise handling multiple credit cards with different balances and interest rates to maximize debt payoff?
Mhm. Again, it's that terminology. So if you say you have credit card debt, you've got debt, so you can play the game of finding lower interest rates and paying it all off. But my suggestion is to write a letter to the bank, ask them to close the account and remove it off your credit report, and that's what will be done. So you will not have to worry about trying to juggle things. Now you can ask the question, do I have a credit card? And absolutely I do. Wait a second. You're talking about this is a scam and you've got a credit card? Well, you really do have to have the bank issued alleged credit card because how am I going to book an airline flight? How am I going to rent a car? So when I came off the farm after being off grid for about 10 years, I had no score and had no credit report. So I went to Capital One and I applied for a $500 credit card. And guess what? They gave me, that's the important word, they gave me a $500 bank issued alleged credit card debt, bank issued alleged credit card. And how did I do that? Is I was a previous customer. So they still had me in their computer file as a good customer. And this is one of the banks I sued in federal court against, and I for alleged 35,000. So I filed a federal lawsuit to deal with my things, and the judge threw my case out. But 30 days later, I looked at my credit report, and all three of those bank issued alleged credit cards were off my credit report. So I knew it worked. I was given a charity, so I converted into a credit repair, and I helped a lot of people who had some small amounts of credit card debt. And that's where I was able to write a letter and was gone.
Mr. Tommy, how about your advice for avoiding new debt while working to pay off existing credit card balances?
Well, there is true debt. So you have your this what I'm proposing does not work for a mortgage, does not work for a car loan, doesn't work for a personal loan that you put up some collateral. Those are true debts, and you got to pay those because you signed the promissory note. And there is, they used to say there's good debt and bad debt. Good debt is if you buy a house or if you want to go to school and things like that, or a car. I tend not to want to get into debt anymore. And I try to work out some way that I can use a vehicle or use a house without having to pay it and have a mortgage. Because that's where the word mortgage comes from, is death. You have a mortuary, you have a mortician, and those things are morbid, is about death. So if you have a mortgage, you just said you have a death sentence. So I would recommend not. But if you're in it, then and if you still want the house, then you got to make the payments of that. So if you're struggling with having some payments of, let's say, the alleged credit cards, look through and see which ones are legitimate credit cards and pay them. But the ones that are not, all you need to do is write a letter to the bank and have it removed off your credit report. So that way it frees you maybe $1,000 more a month that you can then direct it to your debt. And the best thing to do is get out of debt as fast as possible.
As soon as possible, people. How does understanding credit utilization ratios impact someone's strategy to paying off credit card debt?
Well, again, there's a strategy of when you have your debt to income ratio too high and you're not able to get a loan, by writing a letter to the bank asking to close your free checking account associated with that card, that's going to be removed out of your credit report. So in essence, your score could actually go up, and that removes those derogatory items from your credit report. However, to have a credit score, you still need to have a credit card listed on that and have one, and use 10% every month, and always send in a payment, not a payment, but send in your deposit every month to your checking account, which I'm trying to explain to you is it's not a debt, it's not a bill. So you keep it fully funded, is you fund your checking account and keep it fully funded every month. That way, they'll report that to the credit reporting agency and will raise your credit score. So the thing to do is to consolidate debt if you can, but what you want to do is pay off the debts as soon as possible.
Mr. Tommy, can you explain the psychological benefits of this noble method and how they motivate people to stay debt free?
Oh, yeah. Once you have this debt freedom, it feels great. But on the other hand, if you apply for a credit card like I did, I used the card with purpose to raise my credit score. So when I got the gift card in the mail, my credit score went from 0 to 550. And then I went to a credit union and borrowed some money and paying it every month. And so that raised my score to about 625. Then what happened? I used the so-called credit card every month for about $50, about 10%, and always never carried a balance. So every month I paid $50 or whatever I purchased that I was going to buy anyway back into my checking account. So that raised my score, and now it's about 704. So I'm trying to prove to people that you can do my process and still in a very short time get your credit card back, get your credit score back up, and have that debt to income ratio changed. So now you could qualify for a home loan or for a car loan.
What role do credit counseling services play in helping people manage and eliminate credit card debt?
Yeah, there's companies out there, and that's called CCC. And when they put that on your credit report, it's a notification to all of the lenders not to send you or give you any credit because you're actually it is considered pre-bankruptcy. So they don't want to give you credit now. After you filed a bankruptcy, you'll be surprised that all of a sudden you're going to be getting um, loan requests and credit card offers. And you went, wait a second, because they know you can't file another bankruptcy for another 7 years. Again, the whole point is the bank wants you as a customer. If you're a bank holder, a bank card holder, you're on average going to be paying the bank $23.04 for a free checking account. And that's the fraud that they're perpetrating on the whole world. So this doesn't just for America, it is for the entire world. Anyone who's got a bank issued credit card has been deceived and duped into paying $23.04 on average for a free checking account. And that's what it actually is. It's a free checking account with your money in it.
Mr. Tommy, how can someone rebuild their credit score after paying off significant credit card debt?
Mhm. And that's why it was my example is I had no score and nothing on my credit report because it was completely clean because I was off grid basically for more than 10 years. So that's what I started off with. And if you don't have that option of a previous account, then a jewelry store is a good place to start. You buy a small item, but on credit, and they most likely will give it to you because there's such a huge markup on the jewelry item. So you know that going in. So you get a loan from a merchant. They have the invoice. This is a true credit card or a true loan, and that's going to show up on your credit report. Now all of a sudden you're going to get a score, let's say 550. Then you want to go into a bank or a savings and loan or a credit union. Credit unions tend to be a little more lenient and a little more better to the membership. So as a member, you can then have a secured credit card, or what they might call it secured shares, where you put money up front and prove that you can pay every month, and it raises your credit score. Also, an installment loan will help. So again, that will jump you to a 650. And by using it and then just time, more and more time without making anything late. So you don't want any reporting of anything late to lower your score. And that is where you're going to be able to raise your credit score over a period of time.
Mr. Tommy, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in its third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And Mr. Tommy, what is the one key takeaway you want people to remember when working to nuke their credit card debt?
Mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So I ask you to open your mind up, look at the show notes, do your own research, check out my links to say that they're correct, and take this podcast to a CPA or someone who's knowledgeable in accounting, and they'll tell you I'm exactly 100% correct, that there is a crime going on, and they just didn't know it.
Mr. Tommy Kilpatrick, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Well, thank you very much. See you soon.
Yes. So, where do people reach you, Mr. Tommy?
Through the show notes is the easiest place, and there's my email there, and Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook, and I offer a free 15-minute consultation. And if you take me up on that offer, I will send you my $69 book for free, or you can reach it and purchase it on Amazon if you like.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Tommy Kilpatrick, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Tommy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.